Alright everybody, Chandler and I are here and we're going to show you how to tape down a drawing and then do a really cool enlargement without a pencil. So the first thing we're going to do is we taped our paper to a work surface so it doesn't go sliding around. And Chandler had a video before where he was showing you, he may have been showing you how to do this. We do this so that, especially with charcoal, the edges stay clean. Here you go, Chandler. Excuse me, I do not have COVID. That was just a cough. So this also defines your picture plane. Gives you a place to frame it if you want to mat it later. But it makes you more aware of the scale that you're working with. Now, what we're going to be doing here, sorry, can you get it there? What we're going to be doing here is next doing an enlargement. And I'll wait for Chandler to get his edge, and then do I look like I'm pretty good? Up. Bingo. Helps to have a hand on this one, especially this next one. Now, Chandler has the picture that we selected, and we selected this one, which of course we're looking at only this way and only this way. So my goal is going to be how to get this to go onto here and enlarge it. Well, the first thing I have to be aware of is that this is not at all my picture, only this is. So I'm handing Chandler some scissors and he's going to cut the picture out. Now when you do that, do it really carefully so that you get right along the edge. Chandler might do it a little bit more quickly because we're just doing a demo, but for you guys, if your edge is a little off, the rest of it will be off. Now this type of enlargement that we're going to be doing, it has been used since the Renaissance, and I bet many of you have used like a pencil grid where you mark off your paper with a 1/2-inch grid and then maybe you draw it with a 1-inch grid, and you do it kind of like old-time maps. You take the grid and you number it A, B, C, D, E, F, G along the top, 1, 2, 3, 4 along the bottom. So you have all these squares and they're labeled, and you just go to the right square to fill in the drawing. If you've ever had that experience, you know what I'm talking about. If not, no problems. One of the problems you get with that though is you don't want the grid marks to show in your drawing. You want them to evaporate so it looks like you were completely talented and did this on your own. The other thing about using pencil in a situation like this to divide up your picture is it'll put little grooves in your picture so that when you draw it, your charcoal will skip over the little grooves. So we do not want to use pencil with this, and we don't want anybody see the grid. Now Chandler noticed when we were looking at this earlier that there was a really small grid in this Degas drawing. And what Degas did here was he took a head measurement, and Chandler and I were saying, oh look, it comes to, this head measurement comes to this part of the violin, this head measurement comes to his groin or his crotch. There's a center line here, and you can see that Degas put these lines in. He did that because he wanted this to go into a larger painting, so that's how he did this. So it's not cheating. But the first thing to notice, see how that's a portrait format, and see how my paper is not a portrait format? Well, we have to be very careful here, because if I try to put this on this paper, when it enlarges, it won't fit. It'll fit a whole lot better if the format fits. I'm going to treat this upside down picture as a horizontal format so that it'll fit on the page, but it doesn't really matter. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use a spool of thread. Now this can be any kind of thread. And what we're going to do is we're going to make an X plus, which was in, will be in another video. But when I make an X plus, when I do an X like this, it automatically finds the center of the piece. Now, I know that the center of a rectangle like this may look different than the center of a rectangle like this. So in X plus, the first thread that you do is you make an X. I'm going to hand Chandler the other side of this, and what I'm going to do is very carefully go from this corner of the drawing, and it's going to fit perfectly in the corner of my piece. And then Chandler is trying to fit it to the corner of this piece of paper. Hold on. Which is what you're going to want to do. But see how it doesn't go to the corner of this drawing right here? He misses the corner. So don't do that. Now he's reset it. So he wanted to show you where the true ending was. Would you show him the first time first? First, he's just going across the paper, and we can see that it doesn't fit on the diagonal here. Now he's going to fix it for you. Now, here's the weird thing. It might throw you off, but he's going to take one of his pieces of small tape, and he's going to tape that down in that corner, and I'm going to tape it down in this corner. And the reason we're doing it this way is that tape doesn't stick to paper as well as tape sticks to tape. And so the little pieces of tape really help. Now, I want to make an X. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this come over here, and now Chandler is going to tape down his part. Now, if you have somebody to help you, it's kind of nice, because then it's a little bit easier to do. So, did you get it taped down? You're going to hold it. Either way is good. Let's get taped down, and then I'll move mine.
I need some tension on it.
Oh, sorry. So he just said he needed some tension on it to, you know, so it doesn't wiggle. And we're going to line that up. Now, if you're doing this yourself, I guess that you could also just put a little piece of tape to hold down the picture so it doesn't move while you're working. Okay. Now, if you look at my side of the string, I have to move the string over until it hits the corner of that piece. And then it'll hit this odd corner, gotta move my coffee, it'll hit this odd corner up here. It doesn't come up here to the actual corner, because when you look here at the picture, it hasn't gone right across, so we want a clean diagonal. So I'm gonna take my piece of tape, and I'm gonna put it here, and then I'm gonna use the scissors to cut it. Now, what's very cool about this is when we remove the picture, okay, so that you don't have to look at it now, I now have an X, but look at how the X doesn't come all the way to the edge of my piece of paper. So that means that this drawing ends here. If on a computer you pulled the arrow this way onto a image, it would distort it. If you drew to these corners here, it would distort this picture. So we get rid of that distortion by putting this in the center, doing a diagonal, and then I'm going to give this piece end of tape to Chandler, and we're going to put a piece of tape right there where the drawing ends. Now, I think it's just the tape is a little off here, and if it's a tiny bit off, you're going to just cover it so it doesn't bother you. If it's a tiny bit off, you won't get that much distortion. Now, I want to show you a mistake you're going to make. And that is, notice that I put this here, and it went to this point. I then put it here, and it went to this point. Now, sometimes you'll really see the thread want to move, and you have to pull it and give it an extra, piece of tape on there. When I did that, it ended up at the same place on the edge of the paper. Let's get another sheet in just a moment. Chandler's going to get out another sheet, and we're going to show you how you can screw things up a bit. Let's pretend like this one's already taped off, and I'm going to put this in the corner here. Okay, this is just the white space. And I'm going to then take thread, and Chandler is going to do the same thing. So what's going to happen is, not at the corner of the paper, but he's going to make it go to the corner of my picture. So now he's going to move it. So now we're going to just tape down this thread with a little piece of tape. And you know from before that here up is our dead space. So I'm going to go, okay, well, she said put it in the other corner. So now I'm going to put it, I made it so it didn't line up. Now it lines up. Got it? Chandler mentioned to always put your paper, tape your paper to your workspace. This is an example of not doing it, not listening to Chandler's advice. You want to do that side. Okay, so let's pretend that I've just put the piece of paper, my image, here. and this diagonal is going through it. So now I'm gonna go over here, because I said, hey, just put it in the other corner, and I'm gonna give some thread to Chandler. Oh, sorry, wrong thing. And we're gonna do exactly the same thing that we've been doing. So now I'm gonna take down this corner here. I've got it real carefully lined up. Like you wanna be super duper obsessive there. Got it? And he's gonna make his X so that it comes up through this corner and put it there. Now, I said you got some dead space. There's something wrong here, isn't there?
It's way over here. And it should be.
It looks warped, right?
Yeah, it needs to be like here.
Look, this is the corner here, and this is the corner here. So if that became an edge, I'd be taping it like this, wouldn't I? And then the same here, I'd be taping it like this.
One's a rhomboid.
Yeah. What did I do wrong?
You went from that edge to that edge instead of straight across the longest edge.
Right. On the second, when you get this first one like this, if this second one over here doesn't come down here to make it like a line going across, you need to change the corner you put it in. To fix this, I need this line to come down. So I put it in this corner. We're now gonna, let's just go ahead and show them.
It was.
Oh, Chandler caught me doing something wrong. He secretly likes it, I think. Whoa, that's way off, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here, you want to take that down? Right here. I'll help you. Now let's put. Boy, it's crazy how off it seems now when you see it right. That isn't it? And I'm gonna pull this. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm being a brat. Okay. Here we go. Now once he's got that straight and I get this straight and I tape it down up here, see now how there's a line from this point, would you mind, to that point?
Thick and thick.
Yep, thick and thick. And so then we could take our tape and do that, tape it off.
Goofy, but
Yeah, it's goofy, but it's, you know, good enough for our demonstration. So that's the first step that you make. Now we're going to get rid of the picture, and we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to go back to our first piece.